Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're so glad to have you on the call today. I've got with me my esteemed colleague, Chris Mitchell, our CTO. This is Mike Dolloff, Chief Revenue Officer at Inflow. So if you're on this call, hopefully you've got ShoreTel Mitel platform with either work groups or Enterprise Contact Center, or if you've upgraded to the newest version, Connect Contact Center. We're going to be talking about what's the future direction with Mitel for ECC or CCC, and what's the technology that they're going forward with into the future? How do you get there? What license convert, etc. We'll give you all the nitty-gritty details and talk about what that new platform looks like. And just as way of typical items we cover, we got some great upcoming webinars, maximizing your Inflow support and success programs, Conversation Analytics 101, which is an awesome topic. We were just chatting about that before we started here. And then also Mitel ShoreTel 14.2 to connect migration. If you haven't made that jump yet, going through the nitty-gritty of what that looks like, how to make that successful. So, as always, we'll record these. Feel free to ask questions in the questions part of the GoToWebinar, and we'll be monitoring those and checking those. We'll try to keep this to 30 minutes to be mindful of your time. And here we go. All right, so we'll do a quick introduction. We'll hit what's Mitel ShoreTel ECC, CCC, what's going on with that right now and into the future. And then we'll talk about Mitel MiCC Business for Connect. And that's a product coming from the Mitel family that's going to start working on Connect. We'll talk about that. That's where we'll spend a meat of the time here, Q&A, and then I'll have kind of some last items for reaching out where you go from here. So let's jump right in. We always get folks on these that don't know much about Inflow. They're maybe not an existing customer of ours or just getting familiar with us. So we'll do a quick introduction here on us. We just focus on unified communications and contact center solutions. We are Mitel ShoreTel Platinum Partner. We also work with other leading providers, RingCentral, Genesys Pure Cloud, and others in this broader ecosystem around UC and contact center. We've got employees in offices spread across the US. We support over 200,000 endpoints and 800 customers. And so like to take all that knowledge of what's going on and our expertise in this and share it with people, which is what we're doing today, specifically around the Mitel Contact Center. A couple customers, we work with great customers, large and small across the US, and get to do really fun things and get to really help them evolve their UC and contact center technologies and operations. And let's jump right in to the meat of this, the Mitel ShoreTel ECC. So this is currently what ShoreTel's built up for the last, gosh, I don't know, Chris, 15 years, something like that. ShoreTel ECC, Enterprise Contact Center. You'll see Connect Contact Center, CCC. I mean, like we didn't have enough acronyms in our lives, right? ECC, Enterprise Contact Center, is really the equivalent of Connect Contact Center. Connect is just the newer version. So if you've migrated your system from 14.2 to Connect, the contact center also would have moved from ECC to CCC, Connect Contact Center. And the full name of it, My Voice Connect Contact Center. That's still available for new sales. You can add licensing. Obviously, it's still a supported customer. There's no end of sale in process for this currently, although it's expected that it will go end of sale, which will start sort of the life cycle, end of life, et cetera, kicking off probably by the middle to end of next year, we're anticipating. But My Voice Connect Contact Center, which of course most folks from the ShoreTel Mitel family have if they've gotten something more advanced than work groups, it's really sort of been in, I can't think of the right word, sort of like a maintenance mode for the last year or two, maybe even a little longer. So limited development and roadmap for it, some minor enhancements and maintenance, really just addressing some of the security and compatibility issues that crop up, but there's not a lot developing around the ECC, CCC platform side of it. There are some capabilities for enhancing some of the features if you look at Mitel's CloudLink. CloudLink is a physical appliance that basically does connections with some of Mitel's other applications that are all subscription-based, as well as other cloud services such as Google AI, Virtual Agent. So you can kind of extend and grow the capabilities of the ECC CCC platform through CloudLink, but natively within that platform, it's not evolving or really progressing much into the future. And the reason for that, of course, is Mitel had several contact center solutions ECC, CCC through the ShoreTel acquisition being one of them, and they've decided that they're not going to steamroll everybody on that for sure and force them into something, but over time, the path is to migrate over to the Mitel Business Contact Center, Mitel Contact Center Business, MiCC, which has come through Mitel, been with Mitel on the Mitel family for quite a while. If you're familiar with Prairie Fire, that's the Prairie Fire product that's been on the Mitel systems for many years, that ShoreTel acquired a number of years ago, and is now becoming available to work with the ShoreTel PBX, the Connect PBX. So I think that's the end of my part on the Mitel ShoreTel side. Yep. So good spot to tee it up for you, Chris. Take it away on the MiCC Business and help everybody really understand that.
Awesome. Yeah, and I had an opportunity, to go down to the Mitel headquarters and do training on the MiCC Business. So it was a great platform. It's going to expand the capabilities for customers when they're looking at expanding their contact center to, other channels or other integrations. So the really nice thing they've announced is that your ECC voice licensing was going to convert over to MiCC Business for free. So any investment you have into voice licensing and IVR licensing on your ECC system right now or Connect Contact Center, those are going to convert over. You'll get the same number of voice licensing for your agents in the MiCC Business at no cost to you. There is in the first testing and certification for the MiCC for Connect, 200 agents is the limit right now. They do expect that to be expanded to the 1,000 seats by the end of 2020, hopefully earlier than that, but by the end of 2020, they do expect to support a full 1,000 seats. Once that happens, that's when the end of sale announcement for the ECC, Connect Contact Center will occur once they've, make sure they can support 1,000 users on the Connect platform. So this is probably the channels. This is probably the biggest features, that we're seeing, or reasons customers are going to consider upgrading to MiCC Business. Is you get inbound and outbound voice, very similar to what you have in ECC. You have chat, the same as ECC, but now you get SMS. They have an integration with Twilio that's native. It's a native integration. No, you're not doing any kind of third-party, gateways or anything like that. So we could do SMS from your customers. We could do email still. We get chat bots. So if you wanted to do, maybe somebody hops onto a website and, they want to ask a couple questions, you can have a Google chat bot that actually chats back and forth, asks them some questions, and then passes that information over to a real agent. So you can also do virtual agents. So using Google AI, it can, look through previous answers and stuff that it has, and it can actually have a conversation with the customer back and forth. And then maybe you want to do that in the evening when you don't have any agents available. So virtual agents kind of can expand your hours that you're available, and it can kind of go through a bunch of stuff. And if it can't solve it, it can tee a conversation up, say, hey, let me get this over to an agent, and they'll contact you in the morning or something like that. So virtual agents usually utilizing Google AI is a built-in capability as well. So some really cool channels. The other thing we can do with it is integration is we can do social media. So down you see under integrations, social media, so Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. If somebody posts a comment on a YouTube video, you can actually have that auto trigger a conversation with one of your agents. So there's some really cool channel capabilities with the MiCC Business. From a feature standpoint, some of the features that you'll gain is self-service IVR. So if you want to be able to, give them a menu and say, oh, would you like to check your account balance? They say yes. Okay, say or enter your account number. So they can say or enter an account number, and we can have full voice conversations back and forth, with the IVR system. Because of that ability, we have speech recognition. So, we can, instead of just having to force them to enter numbers, they can just say numbers, and we can read numbers back to them. Text to speech. So if we wanted to say query a database to tell them what their account balance is, we could read numbers back in full text to speech, that back to the end users. ECC had a little bit of text to speech, capabilities with it because we did some database integrations, but it was, I would say, pretty minimal compared to what MiCC can do for that. It has a light case management system built into it, so it does have the ability to store records, that you can query. if you wanted to be able to screen pop to an agent how many times this customer has called in the last month. It is tracking that kind of information from a like case management. So you can even put notes in there and screen pop those notes from previous calls, in there. Obviously, we can integrate with full CRMs as well. But if you wanted the ability to screen pop some of that information, we can store some case management in there, or we can screen pop your CRM, Salesforce, Zendesk, different dynamics, different integrations as well. The other thing built in is workforce scheduling. So it's not workforce management, which is an integration, but workforce scheduling allows you to have kind of a light workforce, management. It allows you to look at your calls, volumes, your hold times, and then kind of give you a scheduling and say, okay, this is how many agents you're going to need to handle the call volume as it sits. If you want more than that, obviously, there is integrations with a number of workforce management, so you can do full, scheduling, time off requests, shift, assignments, all of that capabilities, and even some gamification with some of the workforce management integrations. Really nice thing, as we talked to the BrightMetrics team recently, they are targeting a release for MiCC for reporting with BrightMetrics by the end of the year. They realize that, a lot of customers that are on ECC with BrightMetrics really like it. And, so that they're working on having they're in beta right now on that, and it'll be live. So if you're used to BrightMetrics and you want to move to MiCC long-term, you won't have to learn a new reporting platform. So they'll be pulling over reporting and real-time dashboards first, and then the thing once that's working, they're going to be working on the supervisor tools like they do in ECC. You can log agents in and out, put them in a release. They're working on that, having that same functionality kind of as the phase 2 to the BrightMetrics rollout. We talked about workforce management, CRM integration. It's a full REST API, so you can integrate with pretty much any CRM system out there. If you have a developer on staff, or the CRM company has an API that can be used, we can integrate to pretty much any CRM out there, with the REST API. With your ECC system, we could do screen pops via a URL, but we couldn't do a full REST API integration to CRM. So it expands the capability there for you. Full integration with call-in screen recording. So if you want to record screens and stuff like that, there's a number of call recording platforms, Oasis being one of them that Mitel bought years ago. That's an option. And then we have the social media integration. There's a couple companies that they've partnered with that provide native social media integrations into the platform. So a lot of functionality. You can see, from the graphic on the screen, we have a lot of capabilities when it comes to utilizing the MiCC. Rather than most of our customers on ECC are just using voice. So this is an option to really expand that out. And Internet of Things is a big integration point that they've done. They have a couple customers that have like oil rigs that if it stops, it stops pumping, that a little IoT device actually triggers an email notification or a text notification that hits the contact center, so they can dispatch a technician or engineer out to repair that. So there's a lot of integrations you can do, with the multi-channel and omni-channel capabilities of MiCC. All right, next slide. There we go. So talking about integrations, the ecosystem is probably, one of the nicest things. This platform's been around a while. Like Mike said, it was, it was Prairie Fire before. And so it's been out there. So they have a lot of big integrations. This is some of their high-level integrations. So from a CRM standpoint, you can see all the different CRMs that they've already integrated with. Service management, if you're doing dispatch and stuff like, or more capabilities around service management, there's a handful of platforms that are already supported, and more that people are testing with. These are just the ones that they have certified solutions on. Workforce management, we talked about teleopti was one I was kind of talking about, gamification and schedule bidding, so you can put it out there, and your top agents from last month get a bid for their schedules first this month. There's a ton of capability with teleopti around that. Then you have your social tracker, TrackUR and BizView. BizView is the big one that Mitel does most of their business with. That's for integration with all the different social media platforms. That company has the integrations, ties in, and it pulls it all back into a single interface for your agents to be in. So agents has a view up. The phone call, the email, the chat, the social, all of that is coming into one screen. They're not opening up different applications or screen popping different windows or anything like that. It's a single interface for your agent to do all of that within. So it makes it easier for your agents to kind of get used to that interface and not have to jump between multiple interfaces. You can also build in a custom, interface into your CRM if you want to be able from your CRM to log in, log out, kind of do all the interactions inside your CRM. That's also available utilizing, the APIs that are available for the MiCC. All right, so this is probably the biggest question we get from customers is, who should or why should I move to MiCC from ECC? So obviously we know that ECC is going to be around for a number of years, but there's no capabilities or growth being done on it. So most of our customers that are looking to move are pushing the capabilities. We have a couple customers that are pushing 1,000 agents, and long-term MiCC it actually supports more than that on the other Mitel platforms. So long-term it will support more than that as well. But really, when it comes to omni-channel ECC, that's really the biggest capability that most customers are running up against. They want SMS, or they want a social media integration, or they want a nice, sleek, chat integration instead of an older, chat integration. So that the pushing the capabilities of ECC is probably the #1 reason that most customers are considering MiCC. Omnichannel and AI are probably, customer experience are really big, as customers are realizing that if your customer experience isn't top notch, you're going to lose customers. So finding ways to help them and to use AI to the full capabilities of the system, that's really where the next level of customer service really comes in. As you're allowing your users to maybe use a mobile app, you can use a mobile app where they can chat or SMS, or email and everything from that. They have a number of customers with MiCC, they have mobile app integration. So you can push that all the way down to allow your end users to communicate with you how they want, what's comfortable for them. APIs, this is huge. We've done database integrations with ECC, but that's really kind of where the integrations have stopped. With the APIs, like I said, you can build a full contact center experience inside your CRM. So your agents never leave your CRM. They can do everything from the, in the contact center pane, which is usually like the left side of the screen, and then you have your regular CRM in one, so you can have a single screen. And those APIs allow you to do any of that kind of stuff that you want. I mentioned talking about like YouTube and stuff like that. All of those different APIs and integrations, it's really unlimited to what you can do with the system once you upgrade to MiCC. Growth, this is one we talk to customers all the time. Is they say, okay, we're going to be adding another department or something like that, and this is really where is you can invest in ECC and continue to do it, but for most customers, they say, okay, is it a good investment for me to be buying more ECC licensing, knowing that it's already going to be end of sale coming up next year, or they're not doing any more feature enhancements to it? Should I still be putting money into that product, or should I just be investing that money into MiCC, where I know that I can grow, with the platform as we need, as we have other needs besides inbound voice? And that's really a big thing we do with customers is guiding them and say, where's your investment, going to help you out in your customer experience long term.
Yeah, and to be clear, if you bought, some customers are expanding, adding ECC licenses, like Chris mentioned earlier. Those licenses, Mitel's done a really nice job of saying, hey, this is the path forward, but your investment into ECC isn't lost. All those licensing convert over to MiCC licenses, but it's the time and energy opportunity costs of spinning up a new department or growing significant in the contact center and then having to retrain them on MiCC, for example. So thinking through how the department's growing and how the business is evolving, if you're on the cusp of that or in the middle of that, when does it make sense to evaluate and make a switch possibly to MiCC, so that you're not having to retrain agents, or the call center's not having as much of a disruption if they're doubling next year. So I'll change for you here, Chris.
Yeah, so what goes into migrating from ECC to MiCC? This is a big thing you got to take into account is, okay, do I have to take my contact center down for a day or two or a week? What's the because obviously that's going to be impossible for most customers to do. So they've done a really good job of making it flexible in how we deploy and migrate over. So the first thing is ECC and MiCC can coexist at the same time. So you can move one department over at a time. So MiCC can have maybe customer service, and ECC still has tech support. So you can run them at the exact same time. You can transfer calls between them. The agents can everything. So we have that nice ability to maybe migrate slowly or migrate all in one shot. So the second thing is MiCC is a brand new setup on a new server, so it's not an upgrade, and that's the biggest thing I would to drive home with customers is this is a new contact center system. We're going to use ECC as a kind of a guidance for how to build MiCC. So if you guys say, yeah, we like our setup in ECC, let's just replicate that in MiCC. Great. We'll be using that, but we have to manually build call flow, build agents, build supervisors, set up that whole new system from the ground up again. So like we said, ECC licenses convert, but obviously there will be professional services required to set up and train your agents and your staff on MiCC. So there will be some cost to getting it set up depending on how many agents and stuff you have. But we're trying to minimize, that cost by making sure the licenses convert over. You do need SIP trunks as well. If you see number 4 there, MiCC connects to the Connect system via SIP trunks. As part of your license conversion, they're giving you those SIP trunks licenses for free. So there's no cost for the SIP trunks. You're not going to have to go out and buy those. If you don't have a physical switch that you could terminate those SIP trunks on, they will give you virtual licenses for free as well, which we know costs significantly more than the software licenses. So you can pick and choose which type of SIP trunk licenses you want, and we get to pick and choose how many of those licenses we need. So if you say, I think we're going to need to be able to queue up 40 calls, great. We tell them how many SIP call trunks licenses we want so that we can queue the right number of calls. We have some control when we're configuring and designing the system around that.
It's effectively like the IVR ports, I think, right, Chris? That kind
exactly.
Of yeah.
The IVR, the IVR ports will stay exactly the same. IVR ports are a little bit different in MiCC and what you need them for and what you don't need them for, but that's why they gave us that flexibility to kind of pick and choose how many calls we're going to need to queue up, and we can get those licenses issued at no cost to us.
Perfect. Just one other point of clarification on the SIP trunks too. Those are not SIP trunks provided by a dial tone provider carrier. This is internal SIP trunks between the ShoreTel PBX and the MiCC contact center to pass calls. Toll-free number comes into the PBX, just like it does on ECC today. There's internal routing to say, oh, this needs to pass over to ECC. That passes across those SIP trunks between those two servers, those two systems. So just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, we don't need more SIP carrier services. We just need an internal tie line to send calls between the PBX and the MiCC. Yeah, good point there, Mike. Like I said, agents supervisors will need training on MiCC. It is a whole different platform around that. One really nice thing is that supervisors are not licensed in MiCC, so you can have as many supervisors as you want at no cost. So every person in IT can have a supervisor license so they can jump in and help troubleshoot. The one thing I will note is that a supervisor in MiCC cannot take calls. That's the only thing a supervisor cannot do. If a supervisor needs to take calls, they need an agent license. So that is one difference between MiCC and ECC is that you used to pay for a supervisor license because that supervisor could take calls. In ECC, in MiCC, they don't charge for it, but the supervisor cannot take calls. So with that, there's only two licenses in MiCC you need to worry about. They have inbound, they have voice license, which includes inbound and outbound, and then they have multimedia licenses. So if you buy a multimedia license for an agent, that agent can do chat, email, and social media, or any variety of them. Maybe you're not deploying all of them, you just need chat. Great. You could buy a multimedia license and use any of those or all of those different queues. And one thing really nice too is maybe you need some users to do chat or SMS, but maybe not do voice calls. You don't have to buy a voice license. You can just buy a multimedia license for that agent, and they can take care of those other queues, but you can buy both. You could buy an agent a voice license or convert one for free from ECC and a multimedia and take advantage of voice calls and multimedia calls at the same time.
So ECC licensing is concurrent. Is that the same for MiCC?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is concurrent in both systems. So if you have 100 agents, but only 20 of them log in at a time, perfect. We can build 100 users, and only 20 of them, can be logged in at the same time.
Perfect.
So, and that works for the multimedia licenses as well. They're concurrent. So, if you have 3 shifts, great. Just buy 1 shift worth of licensing.
Perfect. One question I've got here as we roll into the Q&A side, do you have to be upgraded to Connect before you can convert ECC or implement MiCC Business? Do you have to be migrated to Connect first?
You do have to be on Connect. Connect's the only one. They're not testing any 14.2 builds for the integration, so you have to be on Connect. And there is a minimum build of Connect that you have to be on. So you have to be on one of the newer versions of Connect. So if you upgraded to Connect in the past, we just need to do a minor build upgrade to get you onto a build version that's compatible with MiCC.
Very good. Just scanning here for any other questions. It doesn't look like we have. We answered some of the other ones. Perfect. Well, we're right on time here. So what I'll leave everybody with is get in touch if you've got questions. There's a lot of information to cover in a quick presentation, but the kind of quick summary is ECC or CCC are sort of staying in maintenance mode, and MiCC Business is the go-forward contact center on-prem. I don't know if I've ever specified that. I guess we should specify that, Chris. This is an on-prem, so sort of like-for-like replacement of ECC, CCC. Your licensing converts over. It will be a change. There'll be need for some pro services, but Mitel's done a really good job of making this, I think, a really nice cost-effective upgrade and change, really an enhancement from ECC. And Brightmetrics will be working on it here by about December on the MiCC platform. And there's obviously a lot of good omni-channel AI and other enhancements that you get here. Similar architecturally to what ECC is, which is a separate server from your PBX that SIP connections to your PBX. And the licensing is actually even a little simpler than the ECC side. And again, ECC licensing converts over. So we've got a nice comparison guide too that we'd be happy, we'll probably send out as a follow-up that kind of highlights, here's what ECC does and here's how MiCC does it. So you have kind of a side-by-side matrix of that to compare feature functionality more granularly. Certainly though, would love to have individual conversations with you, talk about your environment, talk about the specifics of MiCC. We certainly can demo that. We'll be doing more videos and more webinars around this topic. Like Chris said, we're certified on MiCC as a company now technically and through the pre-sale side of it. So we're happy to walk through demo, talk about the licensing, talk about what a migration looks like, and certainly want to see if this is a good fit for you guys, if there's a need to do a change like this. Change for the sake of change is not something we advocate for, but certainly this is the go-forward path for Prem Mitel Contact Center. We want to educate customers on and be there to help them, support them in that effort of enhancing their customer experience in this customer interaction technology. So with that, you know how to get in touch with us. Thank you guys for tuning in so much, and please let us know on any feedback of topics and expansions of Mitel, ShoreTel, or other UC Contact Center topics you'd like us to hit on. Thanks, and have a good rest of your day.